Kia ora everyone, I'm Matt Raymond.
And I'm Eugene Bingham.
And welcome to the first ever Dirt Church Radio live podcast. Thank you all for being here at Thomson Whisky Distillery at Hallertau.
So this is, I guess, traditionally we should say episode 19.
Episode 19, Eugene.
We made it.
We made it.
And we're actually making it right now.
We are, yeah, top quality.
It does feel a bit weird with people watching us.
It does feel weird with people watching us, but
usually we're in a bedroom or a kitchen or something. Yeah. It's just kind of,
we do record out of bedrooms, kitchens, whiskey distilleries. So for those of you not here, we are standing underneath a copper pipe going into various contraptions and dials and bulbs and
it's a beautiful
tanks.
Place.
It's a beautiful place, and we'd like to thank Rachel from Thomson Whisky for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely stoked, so thank you very much.
Hopefully you've all been able to get some samples and try out the beautiful whiskey. So, and thank you to Hallertau for a few beers, putting some beers on. So hopefully you're feeling refreshed, but not enough to heckle us too badly. Yeah.
But then heckle us badly. I mean,
why not? Yeah, okay. So, Matt, how long since you played a live gig?
The last time I played a live gig was about 5 years ago, and I opened for a gay punk rocker named Seth Bogart, and he has a band called Hunks and His Punks. He's from Los Angeles, and we played under a pseudonym. We went on stage as the North Shore Pussies, and it was a whammy bar, and it was a good night, but it was a while.
Well, we'll see if we can top that today. Okay, so the way it's going to work today is, well, first of all, we need to thank a few people.
We do.
We need to thank Ultra.
Yep, Ultra.
Ultra. So they've, as you know, been sponsoring us. They've also been trying to sue us. They tried to get a trespass order against us here.
It's a restraining order.
It was a restraining order, but it failed. So anyway, thanks to Ultra for having us here. But a huge thank you to Andrew McDowall, who's sitting in the corner here. DigiCake. Or Digibake. Is it bake? Digicake? Whatever. Anyway, Andrew has saved us as well as being an incredible runner. He's also a musician and a sound engineer and a sound expert. He's brought along a bag of tricks today.
Including the microphones that we're talking out of.
Yep, got us out of a hole on many occasions, including today. So thank you, Andrew. And he's about to go off and represent New Zealand at the World 24-Hour Champs. So, So we're gonna have a chat to him later on. We're also going to chat to James Kuegler. He's here as well. He's in the house. So we're going to have a chat to him. But just a quick thank you to Kieran, our editor here.
So our editor is... He's not embarrassing with your school principal standing in the front row. It's actually the school principal.
Yeah, but Kieran's been learning along with us as we make things up and try and...
No, Kieran saved us on multiple occasions, so thank you, young man.
We try and make it hard for him.
Absolutely. Yeah, we make it as hard as possible.
So anyway, let's get right into it with our very first guest. And there's been a clamour of people who really want the Matt Raymond bio. And I think you should bring us one on James.
Okay. What do you say about James Kuegler?
Well, that's up to you. He puts a lot of thought into these. He prepares. You wouldn't believe it.
This is edited out. Yeah, this is live. No, James is well known in both in New Zealand and in Australasia and overseas as a running coach. He is a Dr of Chiropractic. Is that how you say it? Yeah, he's sitting here with his hands folded into his...
He's looking incredibly nervous.
Embarrassed.
Yeah, he's
formerly of Cadence Coaching. Now runs James Kuegler Coaching. Multiple wins of various races of various distance under your belt. You hold the current West Coaster course record. Top 5 finish at Kepler. Top 10 finish at Kepler. And generally... This is part of the course. This is what I do when I'm not live, so don't feel embarrassed that this is terrible, because this is how we go. But James Kuegler, come up.
So James, welcome.
Hold the mic.
Thank you, I got the mic.
Yeah, you got a mic.
Great to be here, live and all.
Live and all, yeah. I think come over this way so more people can see, because there's like a huge crowd at the back. They heard you were here and they've jumped in. So, what have you been up to lately?
I've been hanging out at athletics tracks a lot.
Yeah.
I guess the evolution for me of my coaching is doing more and more with both juniors and seniors on the track. Certainly still doing plenty with your runners on the road and on the trail. So, and actually Matt and I, off the record, we're having a... But this is
when you say off the record,
off the record, but now it's on the record, right? Yeah. We were having a chat off the record, and now I'm putting it on the record, about me needing to kind of formalise that around the track and the trail and the road, for things moving forward. So that's what I've been up to.
Wow. And Papakura represent.
PAHC, #PAHC.
There you go.
Yep.
So I grew up in Papakura, and James is basically the Papakura Athletic Club.
It's pretty much the centre of the universe.
It is the centre of the universe.
You can't go anywhere you can't go anywhere in New Zealand without going through Papakura, right?
Absolutely.
Because there's nothing happens north of Auckland.
Nope.
Obviously, we've got to offend as many people as we can today, right? So
Yeah.
there's nothing happens north of Auckland.
Yeah.
And well, there's nothing really happens south of the Bombays,
the
which is
centre
where
of
I
the
grew up.
universe.
But you have to go through Papakura to get anywhere.
You do. So tell us a bit about... So you're working with young athletes. How's that going? I mean, what is it about working with young athletes that you're excited about at the moment?
The joke is they say if you want to make yourself feel good as a coach, work with young athletes because they're growing and they're always getting faster. So maybe it's like an ego trip for me. No, it's I love working with all sorts of runners of all sorts of backgrounds and abilities and disciplines. And at the moment, there's a lot of energy going in there. I've got a group of middle distance athletes who are heading off to the New Zealand secondary schools track and field champs in Dunedin next weekend. I won't be at Kepler. Just getting them all ready for that. So it's just a little bit of energy going into that. So I was at 3 different events this morning with them, and it's good fun.
Yeah.
It's a bit of feels weird to be talking about that on a trail running podcast, but or a running podcast. So right from the outset, actually, I've been trying to convince you guys that the surface you run on, it doesn't care what type of runner you claim to be. You're just a runner, whether you run on the track, the trail, or the...
Yeah, and that's, people often say to us, trail running, road running, as if there's some sort of tribalism, but basically running is running, right?
There's definitely tribalism, but ultimately you're just a runner.
So just tell us a little bit about where you came from, how you came to running. How did you become a runner?
In the beginning...
Yeah.
How did I become a runner? So I left New Zealand after I finished secondary school and went to the UK, as so many people do, Kiwis do, and I spent 12 months drinking and travelling and doing all those things that young Kiwis do and causing mischief in Europe, and put on quite a bit of weight. And I was already a kind of a chubbyish lad anyway. So then when my uncle actually, who lives in Hereford in the UK, suggested to me that maybe I would be better suited to preparing for the coast to coast. I already had a kind of a passion for hiking, and that maybe my career as a budding professional rugby player at 5'7" and even at my fattest 75 kilos, it probably wasn't going to work so well. So from there, I entered and trained for and completed the 2008 coast to coast. And that coincided with me starting my chiropractic studies, and so the two are inextricably linked. And I got to the point, I guess, through without going into too much detail, in 2010, where I started kind of working with runners, teaching them how to move better, from a technique perspective, and so it kind of morphed from there.
Over the years, how, and I guess the most obvious salient point in your life at the moment is you and Anna became parents. So congratulations on that one. But has your approach to running, has your approach to training athletes, has it changed over the years?
Yeah.
How has it changed?
How has it changed? I was going to give you the simple answer, which yes, absolutely, it changes all the time. It's interesting to look back on stuff that I was doing circa 2012, 13 with Cadence Coaching and what I'm now doing with James Kuegler Coaching. There's certainly some common themes. I have I'm a massive believer that it's got to be fun and enjoyable, because otherwise, why the heck are you doing it? I'm also will always coach through the lens of efficiency, of making sure that an athlete moves well first and foremost, that they're strong enough to perform the task at hand, whether that's on the 1500 metre on the track, or whether that's a 100 kilometre ultramarathon on the trail. We've got to make sure that they're mobile and that structurally they move right, and that that all of the soft tissues of the body are flexible. And I think if we can have some fun and get that right, then beyond that, probably the stuff around the periphery changes, but that stuff stays the same.
Do you think that? I mean, what do you think? Oh, geez, Tom.
Tom Goose has got these beautiful Uniqlo pants on, and
spilling beer over each other.
Got beer all over.
You just derailed me completely.
We've got a couple of Dirt Church. People often ask us where the Dirt Church name came from, and basically we've got a couple of Dirt Church originals here in the crowd
sitting in the front row
who are making an absolute disgrace of themselves already. So, which is just typical. So Dirt Church just...
come on!
Hillary decided to make that as well. But basically Dirt Church started as a group of us who ran out at Riverhead, and how did the name was initially...
Tom came up with it.
Tom came up with it, yeah. Blaming Tom, yeah. As a sort of a name for our Facebook chat, which was basically what time we were running, and Tom would talk about, what time is service in the morning?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, so thank you, and also you're a disgrace.
Yeah.
What do you think trail running in New Zealand is getting right at the moment?
There's so many great events. That's a good start.
Yeah. Favourite event in New Zealand right now? Come on, expand on that. You can't just give me that is a fairly open question.
I'm going to carry that on. Favourite event in New Zealand, I've got a list of favourites, but whether it's as an event or as a run, and I'll justify why I think the route burn. And the reason I say that is I think that the distance being 33 kilometres is kind of an ideal distance for a lot of people to run. Sometimes as a coach I get frustrated or challenged by athletes who have we'll call it a discretionary spend of training time of 10 hours, and then they want to go and run 100 Ks. Well, to run 100 Ks and do it well, you probably should be doing your more than 10 hours of training week, but if that's not sustainable, then it ain't sustainable. And sure, there's lots of examples of people who turn up underprepared and go and do crazy things, but I would far rather that someone was prepared. So route burn from that perspective.
Where's the route burn?
Route burn track's one of New Zealand's many great walks for our overseas listeners. Runs from the middle of nowhere to the middle of nowhere. No, it runs from the Divide, well, depending on which way you go, the Divide, which is on the road that connects Te Anau and Milford Sound, which is beautiful name for a baby. I would have thought Milford, young Milford, and then it runs 33.
But your boy's named after the North Shore suburb, isn't he?
The investment. No, the investment finance company. Yeah,
Milford Shops. His middle name's Shops.
Yes,
yeah.
That's right. Milford Shopping Mall. Yes.
Milford Beach.
Milford Investment Finance. Yeah. Or asset management. Isn't that what it is? And the route burn. Sorry, back on track. Finishes at. On the Glenorchy side. So by road, it's like a 4 to 5 hour drive, and running, it's going to take you, well, depending, it could take you...
How long does it take you?
The fastest I've run over route burn is a shade under 3 hours.
Get out. So, okay, that's your favourite event. So what else is New Zealand? I mean, what should we be proud of? What should we be celebrating about our trail running community or our running community in general?
Well, it's a fantastic community. You spend enough time overseas and you realise that New Zealand's almost unique in how many people are out there doing things. So whether that is running on the roads or the trails, or I keep giving this example to the juniors that I'm coaching, but people doing anything doesn't necessarily need to be running. People are just active. So I think that's amazing.
I mean, we let the cat out of the bag. We spoke to Ruth Croft, who's a very successful New Zealand athlete, and she said that when she went to her university at Portland, Oregon, there were 50 Kiwis on athletic scholarships at that one university.
No, that'd be within the NCAA rather than just the university. Otherwise, that'd be the whole track program. But yeah.
Okay, well, I'm wrong on that. But yeah, there were 50 Kiwis in there.
Of Kiwis, bearing in mind that that's spread over 4 year groups, so that's like 10 to 15 athletes from New Zealand going every year, and that's consistent now.
Did he just call us out for fake news?
He did. Either that, or I'm calling Ruth Croft out on not talking rubbish, and I can do that. I know Ruth well enough to call her out.
So, what do you think the challenges that the New Zealand trail running community faces? What anything that's kind of let's get into this. What is grinding your gears, or you think we could do better?
The running. This is where I try not to offend people by offending them anyway. I get frustrated with ultramarathon running or ultramarathons from the perspective that it's like maybe, or at least my perception sometimes is that the people who run ultramarathons think that they're the king of the castle, and that anyone running less than an ultramarathon is something inferior. I would challenge almost all runners to try and run a fast half marathon and see if that's more of a challenge than plodding your way through 100 Ks. That's gonna annoy some people, but I think that's a big challenge, and that's not exclusive to New Zealand. That's globally.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something that we get a bit of feedback actually on the show. We hear people writing in saying, "Hey, you guys talk about ultras a lot, but what about other distances?" And I think that's a fair point. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and I'm going to make some people happy here, but we're at Hallertau at the Whisky Distillery, and obviously they are major sponsor of Riverhead Rampage, which, without blowing smoke up Matt's backside, I think, and the rest of the Riverhead Rampage crew, I think is a great event. Here, Rebecca's in the back. A great event from the perspective that it's a half marathon. It's a little bit like Rootburn, where it's very achievable for someone to go and run a half marathon. You can run a half marathon in the Riverhead Forest, and you'll certainly learn some things. And if you run hard enough, you'll certainly find some demons. So I think anyone can. It's maybe it's more accessible for people to be doing that, to be running 20 to 40 Ks than it is to be running 100 Ks.
Okay. So let's imagine this, because there probably is someone out there listening now who's just starting out on running. They're a bit interested in running. What would you say to them about how, what's your advice to them about how to get into running, how to start running, and so that they actually enjoy running and keep running?
Well, I think that's the first part, right? Is they've got to enjoy it. We meet and we see people all the time who are out there running because running has perceptively in their mind some health benefits, and maybe they're going to create their summer body by going out running. Well, there's probably better ways to lose weight, and there's probably more healthy things than running. So if that's your sole reason, case in point, if that's your sole reason, then maybe you're better off going and doing some Zumba or going and joining a CrossFit box. And you know what? I have no issue if people want to go and do that. So first and foremost, make sure it's fun. I also have this theory, and I've shared this before, but about a 104-week training program, which is basically to say that if we could take someone from scratch, and over a period of, let's say, 3 to 6 months, we got them up to the point where they ran for an hour a day, Monday through Friday. They had Saturday off, and on Sunday they did a 2 to 2.5 hour run with the Dirt Church crew or their local posse of people. Then if they did that consistently for a period of like 2 years, then they'd probably be 80% of the runner they could be with all of the best programming out there in the world, which is kind of almost a confronting statement for me as a coach, because you at times you feel like you almost feel like a fraud, because you're like, well, if you just go and run an hour a day and then you run for 2.5 hours on the weekend, and maybe on 1 or 2 of those sessions in between, once you've been doing that for a while, or once you stop making progress, then you go and do something a little bit more specific, you're probably going to get a huge amount of benefit from that. So
it doesn't have to be hard, doesn't have to be complicated, is what you're saying.
It's not rocket science. I wouldn't be working as a full-time running coach if it was rocket science. I'm not that smart.
So what's next for you? I mean, in terms of your running, I mean, where are you at the moment with your athletic life?
I'm trying to convince my wife that we should have a second baby.
So you're just okay. So you, all right.
So I'm getting ripped. So
you're getting yoked, man. Yeah.
So my plan is to. I'm entered for the.
Are you like what now? Come on.
Yeah,
now.
come on now. Ready? Are you ready for this? Yeah. Milford, my son is only 8 months old, so it might be too soon. But maybe I'm pushing the luck on that. But it takes me a while to get this body sorted. No, I'm planning to. Well, actually, a cool adventure that's happening on the 24th, 25th, 26th, and 27th of January next year. A group of us, and it's 6 of us, but at times it's 5, and some people come in and come out. We're running, on day 1, we're running this is a logistical nightmare. On day 1, we're running the Rootburn. On day 2, we are running the Milford track in reverse. On day 3, we are running the first half of the Kepler track from the control gates round to Irisburn, or up and over Luxmore and round to Irisburn. And then on the 4th day, then running the completion of Kepler. So I think we worked out there's 8 different companies that are involved in order to get us there, from Air New Zealand, with flights, TrackNet, with buses, ferries at both end of the Milford track, all sorts of logistics. So 140 Ks in 4 days, which is a lot of running, but actually when you break it down, it's not huge distances each day other than the Milford track, which is 56 Ks.
What a great adventure.
Yeah. So that's my fun adventure. And then more formally, I am entered for the Nelson Events Alpine Lodge Loop the Lake in April, which is an awesome event for anyone who's in the North Island and wants to get down to the South Island, go and do that event. Or if you're in the South Island, see up there or down there, wherever you are. And then I'm going to run the Gold Coast Marathon.
Great. Or across here. Hey, I was just going to pick up... Matt's trying to cut me off. This always happens. See, this is what happens. Yeah. I was just going to say, this show will come out on the, I was going to say the radio. It's not the radio. What is it? On the computer, on the interwebs, next Wednesday before Kepler and the Goat, which are 2 great New Zealand events. Do you want to give us a bit of a rundown on what people can expect when they enter those and how best to run them?
Yeah. Let's start with the Goat. Hands up. Who's done the Goat? For the people that are here. Not that many. The Goat is an awesome event. So the Goat is it's listed as 21 Ks. It's more like 19. Runs from, it starts at 1,600 metres above sea level and finishes at 1,600 metres above sea level, and it certainly is not flat. It's the roughest... No, that and the Coast to Coast run, I reckon, are the roughest organised events in the country. It has everything. You start on the road, you've got boardwalk, you've got mud, you've got scree, you've got river crossings. It has trying to choose a shoe for that event is impossible. It has every surface that you could possibly hope for, or not hope for, depending on how you look at it. If we get weather like we've been having over the last week or so throughout the country, make sure you take extra survival gear, because that place is like hell on earth if the wind's coming in sideways and you're at that altitude. But great event. Realize with that, I guess my big tip for people is that the last 40 minutes to an hour and a half, or 40 minutes to 2 hours, is all uphill. You literally climb a waterfall, then you drop down slightly, and then you climb back up and finish up what is affectionately known as Mama's Mile. So don't cook your goose in the first half of that event. You got to take it super easy.
I was going to say, having heard that, who now wants to run the
Is it a frozen waterfall, or is it an actual waterfall, literal waterfall?
Depends on how much snow and ice we get between now and then. But yeah, it's normally flowing water.
Warm?
No, cool, but which is beautiful, because if you get a hot day and the sun's coming in, you're also super exposed. So I have had a swim in there. I think 2008, there's a pool that you cross through. 2008 from memory, maybe it's 2007. I remember submerging myself to cool myself down on the way up. Yeah.
Wow, and Kepler?
Kepler Challenge. So I've done both versions of the way that people typically run Kepler. In 2008...
You're talking about me?
No, well... Yes.
Badly.
I've run it badly and I've run it really well, and I think it's... yeah. To run it badly, you run really hard up the hill, up to Luxmore Hut, or moderately. You run a little bit faster than or at a little bit higher intensity than you should have, and then you get to Iris Burn, which is kind of halfway. Although all of the climbing and beautiful stuff is done, and then you suffer for 30 Ks, and it's a really, really long day when it's run like that. I've also run it the other way, where you take it pretty cruisy up the climb to Luxmore Hut. You enjoy the scenery, unless it's a blizzard, but you enjoy the scenery along the tops. Take it nice and easy, or at an easy intensity, and then once you get down to Iris Burn, then you put the jetpack on and you just go for it, and then it's 30 Ks. But really, it's a 10K mountain race, a 20K trail run through the Riverhead Forest. Maybe it's a little bit more scenic than Riverhead Forest. And then, no offense. and then it's 30 Ks on the flat.
I thought it was like a 30K run back to the car. Actually, that's why it was like a 30K mountain race and then a run. Like, I got to get back to the car now.
And to that, I think with an event like Kepler, you as a competitor, you really have to convince yourself that you're going to enjoy, or find reasons to enjoy, that final 30 Ks. It's a beautiful, it is a beautiful trail. You get to see increasing numbers of people through that section. It's beautiful beech forest. You often see native birds through there. So there is a lot to like about it, and it's really easy to chop up. There's a bunch of little huts and checkpoints that means that you can chop it up into different chunks. So my logic or my strategy through the Kepler challenge is that at each of the huts, I will stop and reset my watch so that I'm only ever thinking about one constituent piece of the puzzle.
And that's what I did last time, and it actually really, really helped. I mean, it's a scenic race. Say you've got that big slip, and it's this big slip track, and it's just a big slip. And you run past it and you go, oh, but I really enjoyed the variation of tourists that you see on the trail. Everything from like hardcore Euro trail walkers who are so into it to like half naked Canadians, people smoking cigarettes, people trying to have sex when you're running past them, I
haven't experienced that.
Oh, I experienced that. But it was either a hallucination but there was a couple of sort of, or,
I know you spent a bit of time with Claire Fox in one of those Kepler challenges, so I hope it wasn't her.
No.
Just confirming.
Yeah. Is Claire here?
No, but Sonia Harvey is.
And my wife. Yeah. My wife's here. She's at the back, so that's awesome. Thanks for killing that for me.
I'm going to jump in here and save Matt. Yeah. So when we put out a call when we started off the podcast and we said, send us in your greatest run ever, within about 18 seconds we had one from this man, who was the first ever to send us in the greatest run ever, which was Cape Brett Lighthouse run, which he made out to be some simple jaunt in the park. And I remember running it and nearly dying. But anyway, that probably says a lot about us as runners. But I just wondered, have you had a chance to reconsider? Do you wish to reconsider, or have you had a greatest run ever to top that one since you sent in that email all those months ago, 19 episodes ago?
Episode number 1. Yeah, I've spent a lot of time sitting at traffic lights between Botany Downs and Riverhead today, and I knew you were going to ask me this question, and I'm struggling for an answer, but I'll throw one out there. My greatest run ever would have been, actually, let's go down that route. My greatest run ever, albeit probably my worst run ever, was May 2016. I ended up in New Caledonia for the Oceania Trail Champs. It was on a run that was 20 Ks, 21 Ks. Unbeknownst to me, there was quite long grass for most of the run. And for anyone who's been to New Caledonia or not been to New Caledonia, it's hot and humid in May. So it was like 30 degrees and like 100% humidity. So, and there was no compulsory gear. So I took a backpack with a little bit of water. There was 2 aid stations filled up. I had 2 soft flasks, filled up both my soft flasks both times, ran out of water both times. With about 5 Ks to go, I started getting to the place where I lost the ability to know where up and down were. Right, so which is kind of crazy. So, and the only reason I knew that I was going up or down was that I was running when I was going downhill, and I was walking when I was going uphill. But I couldn't work out which was up or down. And so, sorry, I like to use my hands to talk. That affects the audio quality. I get it. So, and then the last thing,
doing star jumps.
The last thing I remember was, in fact, no, that is the last thing I remember. Apparently, I had some conversations in French. They speak French in New Caledonia, so that's not that weird. And then the next thing I know, I'm waking up in the bush, having been abducted by aliens, with no idea where the track is, no one around, no water, no food, and spent the next 45 minutes. It was an exercise in me being really glad that I have some bush skills, because it was an exercise in trying to work out where the race course was, where the town of Paita or the Riverland Paita Hotel was, and trying to work my way back onto there. So eventually found my way back on, having been abducted by aliens in New Caledonia. So enjoyable that I'm going back to New Caledonia in May this coming year to right the wrong. So anyone who wants to come to New Caledonia in May, join me. It's an awesome event, but I can't promise you won't get abducted by aliens.
And despite that, you still finished with I looked on your last couple of Ks were like 4:20 average.
Well, yeah. So I was leading the race when this all happened. And 45 minutes later, I had no idea. Well, I didn't really know what was going on, but I think maybe out of frustration, once I eventually got back on track, I think the last couple of Ks were like, 4:10, 4:20 or something. Albeit that those were on dirt road rather than on the long grass that I'd been running for prior to that.
You make me sick. But thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, James Kuegler.
That's fantastic. He really knows how to talk up a race. I mean, the
absolutely.
Goat and
Come to New Caledonia. You might die or
abducted by aliens. Yeah. So that's an amazing, another amazing greatest run ever. Didn't sound like it to me, but anyway, there you go. Yeah.
So on to our next guest. When we started doing this, incredibly, I know because this looks so polished, it was all totally on the fly. We basically had the idea to do it and we pressed go. And very quickly we worked out that our audio skills weren't what we thought they were. I had this idea of we would produce this kind of Radio Lab or Daily from New York Times style podcast with the most amazing production value. And basically it was us shouting into a lapel mic on an iPhone. And we were one of the things that was overwhelming for us was the amount of people who reached out for support. And one of those people is Andrew McDowall, who we got his name wrong. We got the company that he owns name
we
wrong.
Look after people who look after us, basically.
Yeah. So we called his, DigiBake?
Yeah.
Yeah, and DigiBake's actually an online cake ordering company in San Francisco. So
Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley, is it right? So, yeah.
They're sending us a cake. In fact, it hasn't arrived yet. Okay, all right.
For those of you on the internet, that was Eugene looking out expectantly for a cake.
Yeah. But Andrew is a TV and film composer. He's played for Catch Fire and other bands that you will have heard of that we're going to talk to him about. We're going to grill him on those.
A degree in music composition from UC Berkeley?
Yep.
Not quite. It's called Berkeley, but it's a different Berkeley.
Berkeley in the States, though?
Yeah.
That'll do.
It's not like Berkeley, Ohio.
No.
Yeah.
Well, hey, can
Berkeley,
we have
California.
You've got a microphone in your hand, I think it would help. Yeah. 5th overall at Tarawera 100 miler. Did we get that one right?
Yes.
You got that one right. That's lucky. 4th at Northburn, just 34 days later. Right. And he's about to represent New Zealand at the World 24-Hour Champs in Taiwan. So
come on up.
Let's come up to our amazing stage. Hey, yeah.
And we've got to say thank you as well because you wouldn't be hearing us for not Andrew's sound desk and microphones and plugs and recorders and cords.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
No worries, mate.
And unlike James, he'll be able to hold the mic and know what to do with the mic and not be waving his hands around.
I don't have to do this bit very much. It's usually other people using the mic. I just record, but that's okay.
Hey, should we start off with the World 24-Hour Champs? So how did that come about?
I'll correct you. Sorry.
There's a lot of correction going on.
Sorry.
This is terrible.
It's not as cool as that. It's the
usually we just talk on our own and nobody corrects us.
Sure. Yeah. Asia Pacific.
Thank you.
But there are some ring-ins.
Yes.
So they are getting some.
And you're representing New Zealand?
Yes.
Did I get that right?
Yes, you did. Yeah. Yeah. There's 7 of us going over.
Yes.
It's going to be a very unique experience. I tried to do the 24-hour Sri Chinmoy this year, and I failed miserably. I was very sick before I started, so that was kind of the reason. But I really wanted to find out what it was like before going on a big international adventure to find out whether or not I've got the because it's really a mental capacity. You know, have you got the mental fortitude to just go round and round and round and round? I know I can run for 24 hours. I've done that quite a lot now, and usually I haven't fallen asleep. Sometimes I have, but most of the time I can stay awake the whole time. So it was just more about finding out what it would be like mentally to do that, and I didn't quite get to do that yet. So it's a lot of unknown.
You had a stomach issue?
Yeah. It was going straight through me, shall we say. And so
that's not ideal?
4 hours. At least I learned how to suffer miserably for 4 hours, which was nice. But I don't want to do that again. Yeah. Let's hope it all goes a bit better than that.
So just tell us a little bit about what will be facing you, apart from heat.
It's not going to be too bad, I hope, the heat.
Did I get that wrong as well?
No, it might be. It could be. It should be mid-20s, humidity 70%. That's what it looks like at the moment. I think it will be quite warm. Certainly the competition is fierce. There's the current Spartathlon champion is running. The Johan Steen is going to be there, who just won Laz's Big Backyard. So there's some forces to be reckoned with. I think there's 17 starters that have run over 240k in the 24 hours. So it's kind of world championship level. Like that. Yes. That's what you would expect at a world champs as well. So the Aussies, there's like 5 Aussies over 240k. My mate Stephen Redfern, it's his fault that I'm even entered because he took me into it. He's always doing that. So that'll be interesting. Apparently the atmosphere is amazing. The whole 24 hours there is, there's music, there's a party going on. They start local relays every 5 hours or so. So all the students, because it's at a student university called Soochow in Taipei, and they run on the outer tracks, and they do like a 5-hour relay, and they start them every 5 hours or 6 hours or so. And all the other students that are staying in the dorms that are right there all come down and make heaps of noise, and it's just going the whole time, apparently. So I'm quite looking forward to that, because obviously that'll help you stay awake when you've got all this noise going on and people yelling, and apparently the whole 100 metres straight to finish with is just, a grandstand on both sides. So
wow.
That will help. That will make it a bit easier. And of course, every 4 hours you turn around to really change it up, and you face the other way, and then just
keep
how many
on
times
going.
is that? 6 times? Yeah.
Wow. Fantastic. So we already have cause to question your mental, facilities. Having entered Tarawera and decided I'm going to do that, what on earth made you think I'll do Northburn 34 days later or 30-something days later?
Yeah, two reasons. I suppose I wanted to see if it could be done. I wanted to see how quickly I could recover from Tarawera. I didn't expect Tarawera to beat me up quite as much, because obviously it was super rainy, super muddy.
100 miles, right?
Yep, both 100 miles. I did come out of Tarawera with the bit of plantar fasciitis for the first time, and that was still a problem for Northburn, but that was the only thing, and obviously a bit of fatigue, and definitely it's not long enough. I don't recommend it, but if you want to kind of find out where your limit is, well, I didn't quite find it, because Northburn went quite well, apart from a sore foot the whole time. I knocked about 15 minutes off my time from 2 years before that. But certainly it was one of those, because it was there. I could see the two big, basically New Zealand's big 100-milers. There they are, back to back. I'd just come off GSER, which was only 2 months before Tarawera, which was the Great Southern Endurance Run in Australia. And that's far harder than both of those. It's 182K, but it's also, there's no track for a lot of it. You're kind of going through undergrowth that comes up to here, and you're track finding a little bit. We got 2:00 in the morning, lost, wandering around some hill in the middle of nowhere, just going, where is it? And yeah, it was so coming off that and then doing those 2 milers as well. It was really they all just kind of happened at the same time. I'd quite like there to be a miler in July or August or something, so that we could spread it out a bit more. But I was also after the UTMB points, so and Hard Rock entry points, because you need that. You get that from Northburn, and you get your Western States from Tarawera. So it was kind of had all these boxes I needed to tick. So I've managed to tick all of them now. So lottery's about 2 weeks away. So I have I've been told 13% chance at Western States. UTMB is should be guaranteed for next year. Should be, because it's third year they take pity on you. As long as you got the points, they'll let you in.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Good old French, eh? They're like, come in.
Yeah, but they got like 2,000 places instead of 100. Hard Rock is like 2%. Or
How many times have you put your name through for Western States?
4. This will be my 4th.
And you, Tom?
4.
So we're in the same. Get out. It's mine. I want it.
If there's a stabbing in the car park.
Actually, I'd rather not, because it all gets very expensive very quickly. Worst case scenario, you get into all 3 in 1 year, and I don't know how you cope with that. I'd do it somehow. I mean, you stay over there in America, you'd do your 3 weeks between Western and Hard Rock, and perhaps some of the experience from Tarawera to Northburn will sort of be helpful there. I don't know.
It's quite a circuitous route from, doing all these ultra marathons, and here I are talking into your mics and your cables, and you own a studio. Where did you start? Did you start with music, or did you start with running? And and also you played with Catch a Fire, and so I'm assuming you did 3 years with them. So you were on the road a lot, because they tour real hard.
They tour real hard.
They go everywhere.
Yeah, it's their job, and it wasn't my job, which was really difficult. So I would have me 9 to 5 basically, like at the studio, and then Friday you'd fly somewhere and do some gigs on a weekend if it was New Zealand, and then fly back again on the Monday morning.
Because they go all over the Pacific as well, don't they?
Yeah, Australia. We did Brazil. We did America. They're surprisingly massive. I mean, we turned up Sao Paulo and we turned up the day of the gig because we got delayed. There was a volcano exploding, and we turned up, and the venue we played was this outdoor venue. There were 7,000-8,000 people there. They were all singing along. They knew all the words. We'd never been there before. And the gig was amazing, obviously. And of course, you asked them, how have you heard about us? How do you know about the band? And the answer was always YouTube. But just every place we went to in Brazil and certainly America, they've got a huge following, especially West Coast.
Really?
And I couldn't believe standing on a stage at what's that on Sunset Boulevard anyway? House of
Blues?
Yeah, House of Blues, sorry. It's a 1,000-person venue, and you walk out there, and they're going crazy, and they're just an incredible mix of people. Everyone looks like they've come from everywhere. And you're just sort of standing there going, this is so weird. Like this Kiwi band playing reggae, just absolutely packing out all these venues throughout America. It was quite a treat. But the great thing about being a runner was that every day you were in a new city. And so I would get up, or as soon as we arrived, I would go for a run and go and check out Boise, Idaho,
Yeah.
or Aspen, and run at 14,000 feet, unfortunately, you don't lose weight on tour because all your food is covered and you never know when you're going to eat again. So you end up just eating so much food. And so even though you're playing at night and you're running every day, you still put on weight. So don't entirely recommend the tour diet. So that was really cool. Being able to sort of try and have both, have your music and have your running. And I was even trying to do the studio work while on the road. So there was one point I was mixing a song for an ad that was playing in Asia for Samsonite luggage, and I had headphones on while we're in the van traveling between two towns, and I was mixing it on the laptop using the Wi-Fi on the van behind, making sure they didn't drive too far away so that I could send these MP3s off to Singapore for approval.
Right.
And by the time we got to the destination, the job was approved and that sort of carry on. So it's amazing what you can do with technology these days. Yeah.
So your start in life, did you always run?
Yes. High school, yes. I kind of just naturally was a runner. I didn't do any training or anything like that. I just entered the cross countries and the tracks, and I seemed to do okay. Not amazing, but did okay at it. And then went to uni in Boston for 3 years. Boston Marathon's right there. And of course, at that point, I'm a partying uni student. I looked at them all and thought they were complete idiots.
What are you studying?
Music, film scoring, yeah.
Okay.
Music for picture. Which I still do today, so it wasn't a waste of money. Thanks, family. So I remember going to the finish line of Boston Marathon, look at these guys going, and just being like, man, that's crazy, man, that's so far, and I didn't even consider it. And this is, up to 21, 22 years old, I just thought it was the craziest concept. I think I came home and probably didn't run for another decade. I still thought the idea of a marathon was crazy. And my first one was Rotorua Marathon. A couple of mates just said, we're going to do it. Do you want to do it? I thought, oh, God, I'll give it a go. And I remember, you come over the hill towards Rotorua and you see the lake and you're like, you got to be kidding me, like so massive. And I made the mistake of going past them at 15K and thinking, I got this. I'm like, see you lads, and trying to took off too fast, the usual. And you've got kind of that last 10K of misery when you go past the airport and everything's flat and boring and nothing, the scenery's not changing. And I think I had about 5Ks to go and I was absolutely suffering. And I got the old pat on the back from my mates as they went past me. and it still hurts. I think I used that as my internal motivation. Thanks, Angus and Nigel, for that. And afterwards, there was that moment we're all at the pub and everyone's got their beer. They're about to have their first sip, oh, cheers, guys, well done, And just before one of them takes a sip, he goes, what was your time again? Oh, it hurt. It hurt a lot.
Have you emailed him every day since you got into the New Zealand team? So,
just send you this photo of,
my 10 kits arrived.
I've never run against them yet, so technically they're still faster than me, right? Technically. Does it count?
Are they, though?
Yeah.
Angus, Nigel, are you them?
Possibly not anymore. Yeah. There you go.
Whoa, he's just thrust a mic in front of me. Hey, I read the blog that you wrote after Northburn, and one of the bits that I really enjoyed was the message you got about your girls running a kids race.
Yes.
Can you just tell us a little bit about that story? So this is going up a really tough bit in the course.
Well, yeah, I think this is on the third lap. If anyone knows Northburn, it's 50K, then 50K, then 60K. And the hardest thing about it is after each loop, you come back to base. Base is warm, base has food, base is safe. And it's always that second one, the second time you leave going from 100K to 160. That's mentally tough. Usually it's dark or it's getting dark. For some people, it's getting light the next day. Like it just depends on how fast you go. But it's always tough to leave the tent for that second time. And so it was that not long after that, Emma had basically saved up the news that the kids had run earlier in the day.
Emma being your wife.
Oh, Emma, my wife.
Yep,
sorry,
yep.
yes. And then she sent us. By the way, they both. Well, one won the race and one got second or something, and they got a Petzl headlamp, and they're totally stoked. And they got a photo of them winning as you're heading up the hill in the middle of the night, and that was pretty cool. It was nice timing. Anyway,
you got to take your motivation where you can, can't you? And
anything,
sounds like a pretty good motivation.
Yeah. Although I remember about an hour after that, someone stole one of my Strava crowns, and I got the message on my watch as I'm going. I thought, you bastard. So you have your highs and your lows when you're out there. It's a long time out there.
Technology can help, and it can really kick in the guts.
2 steps forward, 2 steps back.
Where was the Strava crown? Where was the Strava crown?
Somewhere in Auckland. Some cheeky. Yeah, who was it? Yeah. I went and got it back, don't worry. As soon as I could walk again, I went and got it back. Yeah.
Was it Nigel and Angus, was it?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, under a pseudonym, I wouldn't be surprised. But going from the marathons to ultras, even though James doesn't like us ultra runners, but I do a lot of short stuff too, and it does hurt quite a lot. So in fact, I think any ultra runner should do all distances. But that was Kepler, and I ran it very badly as well, so I can really relate to you on the bad Kepler running thing.
Yeah, I had a nervous breakdown at like 45 kilometres and walked the last 15.
Yeah,
it was terrible.
Yeah. I couldn't run the last 10Ks. I couldn't walk the last 10Ks. I had to turn around and slide backwards.
You moonwalked
because
Kepler.
My quads were so sore that it was like bone on bone.
Ooh.
And it was agony. So the good thing is, though, if you have a terrible first performance at Kepler, then you get really good and you go back, you get most improved performance, which I didn't even know about until prize giving 3 years later. It took me 3 years to get the guts to go back to Kepler.
Working.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's interesting what you said about, and what James said about we're all just runners versus ultra runners versus normal runners. I had a discussion with a guy at Parkrun who he saw my Tarawera buff. I had it around because I sweat terribly, and he was like, oh my god, 100k, and he had a Boston singlet on, and I was like, oh my god, Boston Marathon. And we had this discussion about him saying I can't imagine doing that because it's so difficult, and me saying you've just run a 18-minute 5k, and I can't imagine doing that, and that everyone's got that different degree of difficulty. But I think it is true, it's all the practice of running. It's just running,
I did a 3K time trial on the track the other day, and I died 1,000 deaths.
I did one yesterday, and I died 1,000 deaths.
It's horrendous.
Yeah, and on the current episode, which of course you've all listened to, of Dirt Sheets Radio, Marion Elliott talked about she's running a mile. Which,
that's right. Yeah.
That's her goal at the moment, is to run a mile over 6 weeks. And I did that a couple of years ago, and it hurt. I was coughing, wasn't I? I was coughing for hours afterwards, the old asthma cough.
Mile over 6 weeks would be all right.
Oh, take 6 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not that fast. I'm not that fast. Yeah.
And the pain and suffering that you get from an ultra obviously is a very different kind of pain and suffering, and a huge mental game. And obviously, you need a lot of things to go right. And obviously, the mental capacity is huge. Like the mental games that you play, and I quite like that level of suffering, where you are the only thing you're battling is yourself. I'm in a race, I'm trying to beat people, sure, but usually after about 20 hours, you stop caring about that quite so much, and you just want to look after yourself and see what you're capable of.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, James talked about that technique of just going from aid station to aid station, which is a fantastic way of being able to break down a race and get through it. What are the mental tricks that you use on yourself to be able to get through 100 miles?
I always go with the you paid for this one. Like that one, that really works for me.
The Scrooge one.
Yeah, the Scrooge one, man. You paid for this, you've flown here, you've done, and where else are you going to be? Where have I got to be at 4 a.m?
In bed?
Yeah, but you can't do that right now, so you may as well keep going. And also, definitely the whole, I definitely envisage the finish line. Like I do that one quite a lot. Like especially when just imagine finishing and what that feels like, and that always helps, I think. Yeah.
In regards to your training or strategy for a race, I mean, you're a classically trained musician. You've obviously had to put the hours in. with your practice of trumpet's your principal instrument?
Yeah, trumpet and piano about the same. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've put the hours in with that. Is it analogous in terms of your approach to running or when you are racing?
No, I don't think so.
It doesn't have to be.
You wouldn't play for 24 hours, or you could, I suppose. Yeah. But I think, I don't know. There's definitely a discipline to it, but I think you have to love it. I think if you're going to do 15 plus hours a week of training, and I do most of mine at 4:30 or 5 in the morning because 3 kids, got to get everything out of the way before everyone wakes up. When that's so you've got to, when that alarm goes off at 4:30 in the morning and it's raining outside, you've actually got to love it, because otherwise you won't get up. If it's treated like a total chore, and you're just doing it because someone said you should, or you feel like you need to, but your heart's not in it, then you won't be able to get up and make that progress. But I still, despite some of the long hours and everything, still love it. So that's what helps.
Now you talked a big game about your greatest run ever.
Oh yeah.
When we asked you to come along here today, you said we hadn't even talked about what we wanted to talk about. And you just said, I've got a greatest run ever. So
I knew that would come up.
I've been dying with anticipation of what it is. So can you tell us about your greatest run ever?
Well, it's actually tinged with a bit of sadness as of yesterday. So my greatest run ever at this stage is the Coast to Kozuko ultramarathon. And it's run in New South Wales, and it starts in a little town called Eden on the coast. And you run essentially in a straight line west to the peak of Mount Kozuko, and then 9 kilometres back down to the saddle because you can't stop at the top. And it's 240 kilometre continuous ultra. And it's amazing. It's very, very difficult. A lot of it is on open road, and I think that is where the current problem lies. Is just yesterday we found out that it has been cancelled for 2018, this year, and certainly doesn't look good for the future because council approval, police approval, they're finding it very difficult. Some of the roads are highways, and I think they're having trouble just convincing people that it's going to be a safe idea because you've got a roving crew. It's sort of Badwater-esque. You've got your own crew in a car. They leapfrog you the whole way through, which is wonderful because there's other crews doing it and they're all helping you out. Everyone's has an incredible sort of buzz the entire time. And it's just this little community, only allowed 50 runners, only let 50 people do it, which keeps it really special. And it takes obviously, it took me 34 something hours and I fell asleep 3 times. But it's just an incredible way to see the country, incredible people that you meet, incredible dead wildlife on the side. I mean, wombats all look like they've died a horrendous death, like because the teeth are sticking out and the hands are like this. And kangaroos just dead everywhere. There's something strange going on over there. But and I just about stepped on a brown snake because I was so out of it the next morning, and my pacer grabbed me and yanked me out of the way just before I stepped. It was sitting just on the tarmac. It wasn't even hard to see, and I still didn't see it. But it was an incredible adventure. Just one of those total escapism runs where you're completely removed from real life and you really experience something special and unique. And the Paul who organises it all, Paul and Diane. I mean, their hearts are so into this event. Every single runner at the prize giving is brought up. He speaks about their run individually as they get their hat or their pin for consecutive years, and knows how each one's race went without any notes or anything like that. He's in tears, it's very emotional, sort of pulling a Paul Charteris there, getting in tears, But it's people that love their race as an example. It was. Yeah, it was incredible. It was a journey, and I really, really hope that this is just a blip, and they can figure things out for the future. But I mean, my wife, who was part of the crew, and tolerated me for that time, she came home and quit her job. She just said, "Man, there's more to life than this, isn't it?" And she quit her job. I said, hang on a minute, that wasn't the plan, isn't it? Anyway, so yeah, it's hard to sort of. It's one of those you had to be there, but it was an incredible experience, and I hope to get back there sometime.
Yeah, it sounds almost like an out of body experience.
A little bit, yeah. And it certainly was when you're sort of the ground starts sort of because there's so much tarmac that you're on. I was finding when I got really tired, it started to sort of get all Vincent van Gogh on me, and it started to get really forming all these lines and colours, and that's when I was sort of starting to fall into it, and I realised I had to sleep. So 10-minute power nap in the back of the car. and then you're good for another 8 hours, I've discovered. So
wow.
it's
So
pretty good return.
3 times 10-minute power naps?
Yeah.
Wow.
And you wake up, you're self-wake. And it's really weird because you wake up and, oh, where am I? Oh, I'm in the middle of a race, and you jump out of the car and you sort of keep going up this road and it's, everything, it's really weird.
Hallucinations?
Yes. Not too many on that one, I guess, because I got those little sleeps. But certainly GSER last year, you're in the bush and road signs start appearing and pot plants appearing in the middle of the track. And the weird thing is it's all very normal at the time. And this is the strange thing about these sort of hallucinations is they're not weird. You're just going, oh yeah, a pot plant. But then it disappears and you go, yeah, it's gone. You're not fussed about it. It's only afterwards when you've had a sleep and you wake up and you go, oh, that was strange, eh? In Northburn one year I had someone chasing me all dressed in black. And I turned around and there's a bit where you can see someone who's probably 2 k's behind you and you can see them. And this was at dawn the next morning. And I thought, that's weird. They're not far away. Better get a move on, And I had about an hour to go, and I got to the finish line, and they didn't catch me. Hooray! And I'm standing there waiting for this person to turn up, and nobody turns up. An hour later, the next place comes through. Not him. No, not him. They never turned up. So whoever that was didn't exist, and I was sure they were there.
Was on the Joe Rogan interview with Courtney DeWalder, didn't she have an orchestra playing or something?
Yeah, have you heard that? So she did a 1 minute power nap. She did the Moab 240, and that was the one she won. And she said she had a 1 minute power nap, and she went into a complete REM cycle and everything. Got really angry at a pacer when he woke her up, saying, you let me sleep for 2 hours. And he's like, no, you've been asleep for 1 minute. And then she carried on, and a dude playing cello in a tree.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, and complete. And anyone hallucinated here while running? Hands up. Yeah, all right, I'll go that one as well. Yeah,
Simon, whatever.
You? Did you hallucinate in New Caledonia or just? Yeah.
You said you were abducted by aliens. Are you telling us that was
Didn't
real?
know up or down.
They wiped everything from my mind.
Stand to the start.
Wow.
Yeah, she's incredible though.
Yeah, Courtney. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, and coming to New Zealand next year for Tarawera.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it next year for the first time in many, many years.
Have you told Paul yet, or is this you doing it?
I have actually told Paul.
It live.
No, he knows. I saw him at the Auckland Marathon, and I gave him my apologies.
Yeah.
I'll go through it next year. So I kind of wanted
Fantastic.
to, and maybe Northburn again. Then maybe. Yeah.
You're doing Northburn again.
Yeah, thanks Mel I got him for free, so I probably should, but there's no such thing as free. You've still got to get there.
Oh, that's right. You won through Wild.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Yeah, it's quite good. Thanks, Terry. You bastard. He knows what he's doing, eh? Yeah. No, it is an amazing event, that one, and it's very special because he works so hard. I think he gets less sleep than the people running it. That's for sure. It's a weird one because it's contrived in the sense that here's this bit of land, let's just make you do that and that to make 100 miles. But it's still personally a very satisfying thing to do.
Sean Cooper, who's in the audience here, we were talking about it the other week, and neither of us were particularly keen to do it, just from the sound of it and the stories about it. But so if you're doing a sales pitch on Northburn, why sell it to Sean? Go on.
Okay. Community, definitely. You feels part of something kind of quirky, cool. It is scenic as anything. I mean, obviously you're kind of on a rock mountain, but the views are incredible. It was my first 100-miler, and it kind of just went really, really well. So I guess my memories are pretty fond of it because I didn't suffer too badly. I actually got through it without any major problems. I just think it's got character in its own unique way. And of course, it's Central Otago, which is an awesome place in the world. So I'd love going there and try and get there as often as possible. And then if you've got any legs left in a few days, there's so many other amazing tracks around the place, which I might get done. I go there for one reason. Yeah. No. Yeah. Does that help? No? I mean, I'm told I see the T-shirt, Old Ghost, I can't wait for next year. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah, sure. So, the Old Ghost 2 years ago, and so
very different.
You can swap stories, I'm sure.
Yeah. I don't know how I'll be over the runnable terrain like that. I need it to be a bit longer and more like that, but we'll see.
You make us sick.
Oh.
So I think you ended by kicking James out, he's managed to sneak his way back in. But I think we should officially kick Andrew out as well.
Absolutely. But thank you, Andrew, so much for coming. And your support and everything like that. Thank you, James, for coming. Thank you. That we're going to wrap it up now. Thank you to everyone who's come. Thank you to Rachel Thompson there in the back from Thomson Whisky Distillery, where we're sitting. And the man, David Johnson from Hallertau. Thank you, man, for always being there.
So thank you to Ultra again, and to Kieran, our editor, and to you, Matt. I want to thank you.
And to you, Eugene.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Hey, and thanks everyone for getting behind Dirt Church Radio, because as Matt said at the start, we're just making this up as we go along. I'm sure that's not obvious.
Yeah.
But we're enjoying doing it, and we're 19 episodes in, and we're enjoying it.
We'll keep going. And if you want 10% off Ultra shoes, DCR sucks at ultra.co.nz.
Ultra running, isn't it?
Ultrarunning.co.nz. Thank you, Eugene. Correcting me.
So, enjoy yourselves. Don't feel you need to rush away unless Dave wants to kick us all out. I'm not sure. But thanks all for coming.
Cheers.
Thanks, Rigby.